It's January 1st in 2021, the peak of a global crisis. COVID has changed how we live, work, and connect. And yeah, I just got a new apartment in Amsterdam. I'm supposed to live there with my friend, but he still has a month left on his whole place rent, so I'm moving in alone. With COVID shutting everything down, I won't get internet for 3 weeks. And on top of that, as a single guy in a new country, I barely have any furniture. Obviously, IKEA delivery times are insane. We're talking about like almost a month. So I moved in with whatever I had, which is a crappy little table, my big TV, my PlayStation 4, a mattress, and 2 blue chairs. Yep. You know that meme about the peak male living experience? Just a TV and a chair? Well, that was my life for almost a month. Here are some pictures for context. Now you're probably wondering why this French guy is sharing his life story in a Where Winds Meet video. Well, during that time, with no internet and Warzone eating up all my PS4 storage, I literally had nothing to play, except maybe Overcooked, but yeah, Overcooked solo is not that fun. I did have a bit of mobile data on my phone, but it wasn't enough to download the full game and I wanted to save it for emergency. Like checking when the internet guy would finally show up, for example. During a secret visit in COVID times, my future roommate handed me Sekiro. For those who don't know, Sekiro is a game developed by From Software, the studio behind the Soul series. It's a franchise highly acclaimed within the gaming community because it's known for their notorious difficulty and forgiving behavior. It demands precision from player, basically. And among all of From Software's titles, Sekiro stands out as the toughest of them all. Basically the hardest game from one of the hardest game studios. I knew it was hard, but holy dude. Not like that. I walked in thinking that I was a decent gamer and Sekiro slapped me back to reality. Totally different from everything else I played. I couldn't crack it. But since it was my only form of entertainment, I had no option but to get good or just go crazy alone in my flat, you know? There was something about that month alone that felt almost like a Black Mirror episode. I was stuck in this empty but pretty big flat during COVID, watching the January fog wrap around my Amsterdam apartment. And, you know, some mornings they look like Silent Hill outside, but every single day it was Sekiro inside. Yeah, it kind of felt like a Mr. Beast challenge, but without the cash prize. Like, Sekiro beat me worse than any manager ever did at work. It was brutal from the start, and coming from other games, I couldn't wrap my head around the parry mechanics. They felt so tight that I didn't even think parrying was the way to play. I figured that this is for elite players, you know? There's gotta be some normal person alternative. Nope, there wasn't. I don't remember exactly how long it took, but it was definitely more than 2 hours and 1 rage quit to beat that first troll boss. After that, I went down the souvenir path, the one that leads to Lady Butterfly at the end. I didn't realize it wasn't the main route, because the game was so brutal that I figured it was just a big skill check. And yeah, I spent an entire day grinding Lady Butterfly, after first struggling to reach her because you have like quite some boss also on the way there. And after spending that entire day fighting her, I discover after countless deaths that she has a second phase. Man, that fight took forever. I had her patterns memorized, but I was dodging everything instead of parrying. It actually worked out. But yeah, I never finished Sekiro because once I finally got internet, I never touched that game again. So why would I drag you through my sub story? Well, that's simple. Even in my rock bottom moment, with a game showing parry or die in my face, I flat out ignored it. I just kept dodging like I do in every other game, you know, not parrying. And after Sekiro, I played every Souls game. And even to this day, I've never parried a single thing. Dodging just feels natural to me. I can usually make it work this way, so why would I parry? But today, guys, today we rise. Where Winds Meet is where my parry journey finally begins. And it starts right now. We all know how immersive Where Winds Meet is and how nice it is to walk in the open world, but did you know that there is one setting that can destroy this feeling? And I spent 100 hours in the game with it. This thing is the constant parry prompt. It is more spammy than mobile games add. It's like,
you want to parry? Hey, boy, would you like to parry that one? Have you thought about parrying? You might want to parry this.
Please, parry this, I can't take it anymore.
all the time. Clearing an outpost felt like watching an action movie with that one friend who pauses every 10 seconds to over-explain you the plot. Like, dude, I know what the movie is about. I don't need your help. The rhythm was gone, and after 100 hours with it, I decided to fully remove it and to go back to that room in 2021 with Sekiro. Except that this time, I would parry the shit out of the enemies. Well, I know I could have set it up differently, like only for bosses or only for super strong attack, but it felt a bit like leaving a tiny piece of the shard in the wound. Now, Whirlwind's Meat offer many layers of gameplay, from the story mode difficulty with Parry Assist to legend difficulty. Anyone can play and find their fun with this kind of settings. To ease things out, I started to draft a progression roadmap, going from the most easy content to the hardest. This is going to be a long journey and potentially documented in other videos if this format works. My journey started that day, and as expected, the immersion in the game was better. I was also being safe, especially with Outpost because of how easy you could get ganked to death. I also began to approach fights differently, more strategically, and I also discovered that healing pots were not really unlimited. Wow. This was also my first trigger towards Mystic skills. Seeing other players clearing Outpost in one go with Guardian Palm or let's say Dragon's Head made me think like, well, why am I not doing this again? So I started to build four Mystic skills that I liked, and I always kept one strong zone one for outposts because now the outposts are dangerous. Many things are happening around you, enemies don't wait to gank you and every hit can cancel your combo, which is awful for a bamboo cut user. To be honest with you, and still to that day, outpost is where I use the most food because I never finish fully healed up, and there is just so much stuff to parry. Now that I tried my skills a bit more in the open world, I was ready to take on the next challenge. And since 1.1 just released at that time, I decided to go through the main quest without Parry Assist, which was a first for me on boss's attempt. Going through the group of enemies, I kinda struggled and got seriously damaged a few times. It was like already a very different experience as I was not used to playing safe at all, especially during story quests. And I don't really remember feeling an improvement from my training open world sessions. I actually felt scared of any upcoming bosses and I knew there was at least one. When I saw that the first boss was not named Rivermaster, as I expected, because obviously I got spoiled on the internet, obviously, I realized I had to beat at least two bosses for this quest. And well, let's say that it was a good introduction to the difficulty spike I was going on. Okay, Blood-Scale Hole Master was fast, and honestly the fight felt kinda hopeless on my side. I managed to remember one or two patterns that I could potentially parry with a 50% accuracy, but let's be honest, 50% means that I get beat up half of the time. And this led me to spending a lot of potions because my dodging, parrying were not on point at all, and there was even a time where I was so close, man. I remember sweating, and when I saw this cutscene, I thought, yes, you dead. You finally dead. But yes, she wasn't dead. Let me just show you that.
What?
After that, I try and I locked in another 10 minutes, and I finally beat her, spending maybe 30 potions in total. This boss was fair, and besides that one try where she faked death, the rest was pure fun. Her patterns were fair and a very good mix of long and short patterns. Later on, I met with Rivermaster, finally. You know that feeling when a boss's appearance alone makes you think, yep, this one is tougher than the others? Well, it turns out the Rivermaster looks scarier than it actually is. At first, the attack looks a bit chaotic, but once you catch on, they are a lot more readable than the last boss we faced. There's this one attack that kept catching me, the water laser. I think you're supposed to dodge to the side to get through it, but I wasn't consistent and it ended up costing me a fight. But once I made it to the Rivermaster himself, everything clicked. The fight went super smoothly. Like, he's an easy win in the campaign version, and I haven't tested him in trials yet. But after 3 tries, I got the win and the quest done, and yeah, it finally gave me a little bit of confidence to push for a bigger challenge. And if you remember the roadmap, you actually know which challenge we're talking about. But before diving into the next obstacle, let me quickly go over my build. I swap between dual blades with an umbrella and dual blades with a rope dart. The next challenge that is coming is actually one of the last runs where I will be rocking the dual blade and umbrella combo. Voilà. While I was exploring Kaifeng, I ended up starting a quest that led me to a boss called the Ghostmaster. Right away, I figured this would be the perfect fight to try and win without using any potions. That would be the actual next challenge. Ghostmaster is a step above most bosses. He's not in the absolute top tier like the Wolf Maiden, but it sits just below, in the same league as Murongyuan, for example. He hits hard, with a wide range of patterns, yet with optimized DPS you can bring him down fast. Since I wasn't using any healing, I had to rely on parrying most of the attacks and using Flame Lash, which is the dual blade buff you can trigger after landing enough hits. It gives a small amount of lifesteal, but just enough to give me hope. So I tried to use it as often as possible. Searing Breeze was an absolute lifesaver as well, for cleansing the puppet stun, and Dragon's Head became my go-to finisher to end the second phase as quickly as possible. That setup came from one run where the Ghostmaster survived with literally 0.1% HP. What? Which kind of remind me of Fengruz, the Bloodscale Hallmaster. And that's when I realized that how close I was to beating him with no healing potions in under 5 tries. I had another close call, and honestly after that second close call I started getting frustrated. Failing that close to the end was tilting. What? The bombing phase especially drove me crazy, like I lost there so many times, and for some reason I just can't read the pattern and manage my stamina at the same time. I keep jumping too late or getting out of sync. But still, I could feel myself improving. My parry instincts were really starting to kick in, and sure, sometimes I'm just spamming R1, waiting for the attack to land, but at least I'm building those reflexes. And then this run happened. It started very good. I was reading every moves from the Ghostmaster, and I even took a second to aura farm. It became more complicated after that, and I lost few chunks of HP. Hopefully, I managed the puppets like a champ, but as always, I got surprised by the bombing attack. I kinda gave up mentally because my health was so low compared to his, but I remembered my finisher move. What if I could do it now? And yes, my ultimate finisher combo removed 60% of Ghostmaster's life in the span of 10 seconds. So satisfying. Ghostmaster, no potion, no parry assist, done. 30 minutes of attempts to beat a solid boss with no healing, well, that was already a huge win for me. But it also fed my ego to push for more. And yeah, Where Windsmeet has plenty of challenges for people who want more. Buried deep in the oceans of menus, there are the trials. With that one line of text that hits you like, oh no, crap, no way I'm getting those cool badges. Defeat the boss on Abyss difficulty without getting hit. I know some of you Souls veterans are smiling right now. I can see that cheeky grin forming when you read that line. No hit run for a flex badge? Isn't that the ultimate dream for hardcore FromSoft players? I wanted it to be mine too, at least to give one boss a shot. Yi Wanshan. Yi Wanshan isn't complicated. I'd even say he's top 3 easiest for a no-hit run. But for me, that was already a massive mountain to climb. Just the thought of restarting the fight every time I get hit was not motivating at all. But still, you can't know your true potential until you actually grind it. My journey began, and for the first time, I shelved the umbrella. Bamboo Cut was now my main path, and mastering rope dart buff timing with perfect fight execution plus parries was my new motivation. Obviously, I got humbled right away. Even though Yi Wanshan's patterns are readable, it was still my first shot at an Abyss difficulty boss, and the damage output caught me off guard. On those early attempts, I was just aiming to clear the fight without healing, kind of like what I pulled off with the Ghostmaster. Turns out, it took me slightly less time to finally win without healing, something like 25 minutes total. But you know, winning without potion was still far away from a no-hit run. And it made everything feels way more complicated in my head. So I ended up taking about a week off from Yuan-Shan attempts. To be honest with you guys, I wasn't excited about the video or this challenge anymore. When I came back, I wasn't necessarily looking to fight him again. It's a series of events who led me back there. First of all, I finally hit 360 token to grab an outfit from the season shop. I had my eyes locked on the Enlightened Mind outfit since the beginning of the game. I snagged it, and that fresh serious drip instantly made me feel like early game was over. My character suddenly looks straight up badass and advanced level. And sometimes, the universe lines up just right to send you a sign. A few hours after I bought the outfit, this happened. Out of nowhere, the legendary Flaming Cape drops, the perfect match for my brand new Enlightened Mind outfit. The timing is perfect, and those flames burning off felt like Yuan-Shan himself was calling me back. It would be disrespectful not to respond, so I came back. Now that I was feeling completely in phase with the environment, all I had to do was to read everything properly. But still, at that time I struggled to even finish the fight without getting hit less than 5 times, and this challenge alone took a long time to achieve. But after countless attempts, I finally managed to defeat Yuan-Shan while taking fewer than 5 hits. It felt like a major achievement, but also a turning point. Everything has gotten tougher now, since the final challenge is to beat him without getting hit at all on Abyss difficulty. There are no small motivating milestones along the way, just this massive goal waiting to be conquered. The only way to victory was to train, lock in, and enter flow state. And then this happened. Finally, I did it. The execution isn't flawless and you can see me panicking a little bit at the end with my auto attacks, but first phase was fire. Entering flow state with a boss is super satisfying and I recommend everyone to give it a go. Just remember, take a break when you feel like it's not going anywhere. Now, I am fully aware that this is just one easy boss and that some challenges are way harder. There is a huge difference between fighting Yuan Shan and, for example, Wolf Maiden. But hey, everyone has to start somewhere and maybe this is just the beginning of something bigger. Although, if there is one thing to remember from this video, is that I won the fight because of the flaming cape. I guess the game is pay to win in the end. Bye bye everyone.